Hi everyone, this is Nitin, Chhoda, physical therapist, and this is actually one of the most important training videos I've ever made in the 10 years that I've been teaching private practice owners how to grow their business. Having worked with thousands, I kid you not, thousands of practice owners, I've actually found there are few common traits amongst practice owners that are extremely successful, and then the same things tend to hold back the practice owners who are always struggling, always looking for the consultant, always looking for the idea, always looking for the next step, always looking for the quick fix. See, I've given you a couple of clues already. So let's get into the 12 traits that actually separate practice owners who are extremely successful from practice owners who actually struggle on a day-to-day basis. The first is the type of practice owner who succeeds thinks of success as an obligation. They actually think, I'm going to be successful no matter what. For them, it's not a matter of if they become successful, it's a matter of when they become successful and how they get there. Do they take the long road? Do they take the short road? For practice owners who are always struggling, for them it's about, hey, can I get lucky? Or am I one of the chosen few? So there's a fundamental difference in the approach right there. The second, practice owners who are successful tend to use money as a tool. Sometimes they borrow money to make more money. They tend to borrow money and say, how can I, let's say, borrow money at 6% or 7% or 8% and use it to grow my practice and maybe make an extra 15%, 20% on my money. So they look at money as a tool to make more money. Practice owners who are struggling, on the other hand, tend to always think, gosh, I don't have any money. Money is scarce. How can I find ways to cut corners? How can I find ways to reduce costs as opposed to increase income? Successful practice owners tend to borrow money. These 2 points are interrelated. Successful practice owners borrow money so that they can compound their wealth and grow their money. Unsuccessful practice owners borrow money and spend and get deeper and deeper into debt. They treat their practice like an ATM machine, and they don't necessarily save and invest in assets that tend to make them more money. For example, a practice owner who starts investing in rental properties is now investing his or her cash flow to make more money, because when you get your money to make more money and then that money in turn makes more money, that compounding effect is what really creates wealth. Successful practice owners have a 12-month or longer plan. They're always thinking at least a year, sometimes 2 or 3 years ahead. Unsuccessful practice owners have a budget. They go paycheck to paycheck. They're like, oh gosh, can I meet my payroll? If my billing doesn't work, I'm not going to meet payroll. That's not a spot that you want to be in. Successful practice owners have an abundant mentality. They're always thinking to themselves, how can I create maximum value for my staff, for my patients, for everyone around me, for the physicians who refer to me, for the insurance companies? How can we make it a win-win? Unsuccessful practice owners have a scarcity mentality. They're thinking, how can I do well, and I don't care how everybody else does. In other words, let me make sure I'm successful and I feed myself first before other people get fed. And that again is something that might work short term, but it's not going to work long term. Successful practice owners ask, how can I add value to a given situation? They're always thinking, how can I show empathy? How can I add value? How can I leave my ego at the door? How can I be humble? How can I make things better for patients, for my staff, for everyone around me? And how can I be the kind of person that elevates a situation? Unsuccessful practice owners are very ego driven. They think, what's in it for me and what can you do for me, or what have you done for me lately? Ego, in my experience, is an extremely, extremely dangerous thing. And it's something that tends to hold people back. And what's sad is they don't even realize it. I actually call this the curse of knowledge. A lot of physical therapists are highly educated, highly intelligent people, but they're so educated that their knowledge becomes a curse for them and they stop learning. And that, I think, is something you want to stay away from. Successful practice owners build a legacy for staff. They think of building something that survives without them, that transcends them, that actually grows even when they're no longer around. Unsuccessful practice owners either are terrible leaders, they neglect their staff until everything goes sideways, or they try and dominate their staff and try and rule with some degree of authority, or rule with some degree of just it's my way or the highway. They dominate and they don't empower. So I think that's sort of something that all of us should look at. Can we build a legacy for staff? Can we empower staff? Can we make them comfortable enough to live in their own skin and bring their own personality into the practice and grow the practice? Successful practice owners think in terms of having it all. They want the best marketing person, they want the best clinicians, they want the best billers, they want the best marketing software, they want the best marketing consultants, they want the best financial advisors, they want the best kind of location for their practice. Unsuccessful practice owners think, gosh, I can't have everything. I need to pick and choose what I want, because you can't have it all. It's got to be this or that. Successful practice owners make things happen. They sign up for workshops, they sign up for events, they get consultants, they get good coaches, they get good CPAs, they go to conferences sometimes that have nothing to do with physical therapy, so that they can then learn how to grow themselves as individuals, as human beings, and as business owners. Unsuccessful practice owners are always like, gosh, I've been burnt before. I didn't learn at this past event or from this book. So what can you do for me? I need to have all my ducks lined up before I commit to anything. That's sort of more like a victim mentality, where you think things have happened to me and things are happening to me, so I'm going to, out of an abundance of caution, protect myself by asking the right questions and by looking into everything before I commit. Just not a good way to learn. Successful practice owners improve what they can control. They know they can control to a large extent their staff and their systems. They can control the decisions they make about the people they work with. They can control the software they use. They can control the experience their patients have. They also know there are things they can't control. They can't control sometimes reimbursements. Sometimes they can't control the actions of staff members despite their best intentions. And they can't control how certain marketing programs will work. So some marketing programs cause a negative return on investment, some cause a positive return on investment. So practice owners who struggle tend to obsess over everything. They think it's my way or the highway. They try and control every little thing. They try and act like the puppet masters, whereas in reality they're the biggest puppets, because they themselves are puppets of, they're slaves to their practice. They don't run their practice runs them. And I know this sounds a little harsh, but I'm just being honest, and I'd rather you hear it now as opposed to hear it 10 years from now. Successful practice owners learn and find mentors. They're always looking to find people who can guide them, who can coach them, who can take them to the next level. Unsuccessful practice owners, again, going back to the curse of knowledge, think they know everything. Terrible, terrible position to be in. And please, please, if you think that way, stop holding yourself back, because you will be limiting yourself. I think the way I look at it is, when you have what I call a 360-degree view, you're looking in all directions. But when you think you know everything, you have a very narrow view. Okay, you're thinking in a straight line, and you may think that you know everything, but in reality, you don't know what you don't know. You only know what you know. So in reality, by thinking you know everything, you are absolutely positively holding yourself back. Successful practice owners are always open to learning new things and saying, gosh, I didn't know that. I'd like to know more about that. So that's an attribute. Successful practice owners finally accept responsibility for failures. They understand that mistakes will happen, bad hiring decisions will be made, mistakes will be made working with patients, maybe certain things will happen that you didn't intend to happen. Sometimes accidents happen, sometimes mistakes happen. Some things are avoidable, other things are not. But whenever problems happen, they accept responsibility. Unsuccessful practice owners are quick to blame others for their failures, because it's easy to blame someone else as opposed to take responsibility for something that could potentially be your fault. And quite frankly, successful practice owners tend to take responsibility for the things that are not even their fault. They actually try and absorb all the pressure, absorb all the stress, and then respond with more authority, with more leadership, and then tend to empower staff owners. Speaking of empowerment, I'd like to invite all of you to attend the 2019 Private Practice Summit coming up in Las Vegas, October 18th, 19th, and 20th. And here are 10 quick reasons why you should attend the Private Practice Summit. Number one, you'll learn how to work on your practice, not in your practice. You'll learn the leadership skills that'll take your practice to the next level. Number two, you'll get an easy step-by-step marketing plan. Successful practice owners don't try to do new stuff. They don't reinvent the wheel. They just do what works, and quite often they copy what works, they model it, maybe they add a little bit of their own flavor to it, and they do it better. You'll also learn how to hire and retain the best talent. That's what successful practice owners are very good at. They're very good at attracting, hiring, retaining, motivating the right staff members, because at the end of the day, the engine that drives your practice from 1 clinician to 5 clinicians, from 1 practice to 3 practices, from $100,000 a year to $1 million a year, $750,000 a year, or even more, is your staff. You can't do it alone. You'll get access to a huge network of peers. There'll be a lot of practice owners, successful practice owners there. There'll be a lot of highly intelligent, highly successful practice owners there who are pretty much under the radar. They're not kind of the typical industry speakers. They're the kind of people who stay under the radar, who just are doing well, and you'll get a chance to interact with them. Your biggest learning experiences will come from those random interactions you have in the hallway, during the lunch break, while having a cup of coffee. That's when you'll get your biggest insights at the event. You'll learn how to maximize the efficiency of your front desk staff. A lot of the things your front desk does, eligibility verification, patient intake, pre-authorization certifications, maybe even a little bit of patient marketing, all of those things have to be really dialed in, because that sets the stage for the patient experience right from the beginning, before the patient enters your practice. You'll discover several ways to speed up documentation. You've got to be able to be efficient when the patient is in your practice. Quick, efficient documentation is a significant part of that. You'll learn how to reduce claim denials and boost revenue. If you have a biller who's working with you, it's best to have your biller attend, because the biller will get a whole bunch of new ideas. But even if you don't have a biller, you can take the ideas and then present them to whoever's doing the billing for your practice. You'll be able to transform patients into human billboards. We'll teach you how to take a patient and transform them into a human billboard. A human billboard is someone who refers other patients, who's happy to give you a testimonial, and who will try other products and services that you offer. You learn how to use technology to automate your practice, whether it's EMR software, patient scheduling software, billing software, email newsletter marketing software. You learn how different pieces of technology fit together. It doesn't really matter what technology you use. You'll learn best practices, and you'll be able to apply them to whatever you're using now. And finally, there'll be a bonus session on tax mitigation and asset protection. This is a huge area that I think private practice owners are lacking. Now, we learn how to be good clinicians, how to generate revenue, how to have a profitable practice. What do you do with the money that comes in? How do you legally set up a structure, whether it's an S Corp, an LLC, a C Corp? How should you have W-2s, or should you have independent contractors? How can you legally reduce your tax burden while benefiting yourself? There are legal ways to do that. There are legal ways to increase revenue while reducing your tax burden. And at the same time, as you grow, you want to protect your assets, not only from potential litigators, but also from the IRS. You'll learn how to protect your assets and how to grow and build a financial legacy that'll survive you, and that'll be something your family and future generations thank you for. I think that one session alone will pay for your cost for the event, including the investment in your time. So in the end, you'll save several hundred hours of trial and error when you attend the event. You'll get your evenings and weekends back. You'll be able to focus all your time and energy on your patients, and you'll be able to increase your bottom line. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you got a lot out of it. I recommend you watch this at least one more time, because there's probably nuggets there that you may want to listen to again. So do that. And thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you at the Private Practice Summit in Las Vegas. Tickets are going fast. Thank you so much. And you can register at privatepracticesummit.com. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.